Mauro Ranallo is gone from I get the entire WWE, correct? Not just NXT, but did he?
Correct. Yeah.
But he's still going to do his MMA and boxing commitments, right? So do we have any? I saw a statement where he just said, "Well, I've done everything I can do." Do we have any of the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say? Did he get mad at somebody? Did somebody piss him off? Was he just tired of it? What was his motivation?
The only other thing I've heard is that his mother was under the weather, so he's been at home helping out with things because of that. But in terms of any specific reason,
but wait a minute, he was from home to begin with, right? Beth Phoenix isn't there either. Aren't the announcers, except for Michael Cole III, whichever one he is in the middle, aren't they at home anyway?
I believe he was at home, yes.
So that's what I'm saying. Believe me, anybody wants to quit the WWF if you're fucking on the road every week and doing TV in that environment, I can understand that fully. But why pick now where you're doing a TV show once a week from your house? That's why I'm saying I just assume that he, just had got fed up or whatever the fuck. But I watched. Mauro Ranallo was perfect for NXT. He did get amped up every once in a while, a little too far over the shit that obviously didn't need to be amped up. But still, he was just. I don't know how they're going to replace him. And I mean, Wade Barrett, nice enough straight man there, color guy, whatever, but. Mauro had the energy. The Michael Cole Jr.'s just kind of rotate in and out. Beth is the female voice. She's doing a good job. But Mauro had put a lot of energy in that program sometimes when there wasn't a lot. What do you think?
I think he helped make that show different than every other WWE show because he didn't sound like a clone of Michael Cole.
Well, there you go.
And I thought that's something that NXT needed. And I'm going to miss him. The weeks we've been watching NXT, the things that are good, I think, would have been better with Mauro calling them. Because he knows how to take a really good match and make it really great by getting emotional, by getting excited. And it picks things up as opposed to someone who just sounds like they're playing a role of a wrestling commentator. Mauro never seemed like he was playing the role of a commentator. He seemed like a commentator.
Yeah. Well, there's a good distinction. And I would even say the announcers, when they can convey to you that they legitimately enjoy or are excited to be there, that helps. And you don't get that from a lot of, everybody's cookie cutter announcers today. So anyway, I hate that he's not going to do wrestling anymore, but here's another, this guy's been a wrestling fan for almost all of his life since he was a kid, and now he's got a job doing wrestling for the biggest company in the world. He doesn't want to do wrestling anymore. That's how a lot of us feel. Fuck, that's a shame.
I hope he does something again. I got into New Japan several years ago again when he started doing commentary, him and Josh Barnett. And I think his stuff doing New Japan was phenomenal a few years back. I hope he does something in wrestling again. I don't know, there aren't that many places to go and do something, but really talented guy, and I always enjoyed his work.
Well, anyway, and he was apparently going to be my, little brother or illegitimate son? Or what the fuck was that?
What was that? Was he going to be Jim Cornette Jr. or something?
No,
what am I thinking of? What was that story?
Somebody sent in, they had heard, and I guess at some point when I was fighting with TBS and Jim Herd in particular, WCW, and that Mauro had started as a teenager managing in Vancouver, right? And that's what, Joe Pedicino was around, and they had Steve Beverly was writing the newsletters, and they were all talking to Herd, and there was probably at that point for a company, there was more, without anybody ever admitting it, there was more newsletter influence for 1989 to 1991 WCW than any wrestling company in history before or since. And I guess at some point, because I never heard about this at the time, I heard about it when somebody had asked the question here on the show several months ago, and we answered it. There was some, and maybe Eddie Gilbert had it, to bring fucking Mauro in as either my little brother or some member of my family. And because he could cut the promo and he was even younger than me, but apparently it didn't happen. And probably Mauro was probably all the better for it as well, because you didn't want to come to work for Jim Herd at that fucking period of time in the wrestling industry. But we could have been family. Good luck, Mauro. But you know what? Now that Mauro is off, guess what he's going to have more time for, Brian?
New Japan Pro Wrestling.
No, grilling out in his backyard. And Omaha Steaks. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Omaha Steaks and the incredible limited time offer. You go to omahasteaks.com and you check out the Grand Summer Grill Out package. And we're talking bacon wrapped filet mignon, pork chops, chicken, kielbasa, fork tender filet mignons for less than going out to a restaurant. And if you order at omahasteaks.com and enter the code JCE into the search bar this week, Omaha Steaks adds 4 burgers and 4 gourmet jumbo franks free with your order. These jumbo franks, they are as big as Andre the Giant's middle finger. They just look positively obscene, folks. And they're plump and juicy, unlike Andre the Giant's middle finger. But, folks, it's not just steak. It's the best steak of your life. And it's guaranteed to arrive fresh, flash frozen, vacuum sealed, safely delivered in a cooler with dry ice. Do not touch the dry ice or attempt to ingest that. But you can ingest everything else because the steaks are great. And don't forget 4 free Jumbo Franks and 4 Omaha Steaks burgers if you put JCE in the search bar at omahasteaks.com. I know you, Brian, as a member of the savoir faire, eat filet mignon at least 3 times a week, but a lot of us often eat job boy steak. Bologna. We're having a bologna blowout in the back of the car on the way to the towns, but every once in a while we get a good big steak and we like to sink our teeth into it. Now you can at home. You don't have to leave the house. Omaha Steaks.
Well, there's no reason now with Omaha Steaks that you can't have filet mignon 3 times a week.
Well, guy, there's some people under a goddamn bridge that'll tell you there's still a reason whether Omaha Steaks exists that they can't have steak 3 times a week, but most of our listeners are doing quite well for themselves.
I think so.
We've seen the surveys. They're quite educated, intelligent, and have the wherewithal to treat themselves and eat themselves into a frenzy, courtesy of Omaha Steaks. Treat yourself and eat yourself, baby. Omaha Steaks, you cannot beat our meat. What's the matter with you?
Right. No, nothing. Treat yourself and eat yourself.
Yeah, there you go.
I once knew a girl.
On. What?
Nothing.
Are you trying to get me to talk about Greenville, South Carolina, in the back of that dumpster again?
Did one of them treat themselves and eat themselves?
Well, actually, there was... This girl must have had a gymnastics background at one point. She could roll over backwards to the point where, well, nevertheless, we do have an email from
Omaha Steaks.
Omaha Steaks. Hurry up and use that code, folks. They might listen to this program.
You have an email, I understand.